So I think the problem is that every time it comes to a gift giving holiday, I have no idea what the fuck to do. I feel like at this stage, I've got everybody everything that they want. I've tried out all of the ideas. And the fact of the matter is, I feel like they've stopped trying a little bit. You reach 30 and you're like, well, fucking finally, this is it. No more kids' gifts for kiddie boys. Finally, I'm going to get some real stuff. Some adult stuff. I obviously don't mean that my friends and family would buy me sex toys. But I think that you kind of hope that, you've got shitty gifts or abstract gifts or gifts for kids your whole life. And personally, I was thinking, cool. Now I'm 30. I'm officially a grown-up by all measures, except the fact that I haven't done what my mum wants and, had a family at this point. So now I should start getting the real shit. Like, people should, buy me watches and wallets and something made out of leather, is what I was anticipating. I feel like I've got more booze. That's nice when it's booze that I drink. I suppose like liquor's great, it's all good. But definitely, I feel like things have really waned. I hit that 30 and I'm amazed if anybody even gets me a gift at this stage. I think people have just got to the point of like, obviously I'm speaking birthday. I'm also speaking Christmas. I feel like people have just got to the stage where they're just like, oh nah, you're too old for that shit now. And something has skewed where Christmas Day, I'm with my family, if I am, and my mum and dad are surrounded by gifts in the same way that Chris and I used to be. That's my brother. And it blows my mind because, like, I don't think our financial situations have really reversed. Sure, they've changed in that from when we were kids, Chris and I now are both grown-ups with jobs. We're earning cash. It's all good. We assumedly have cash to spend / burn. But it hasn't... The skew that's occurred on the day doesn't reflect the skew that's occurred in real life. In our actual financial situations, I mean, like, we've got jobs, great. We earn a bit more, all good. We maybe want a bit less, fantastic. But those guys, I mean, yeah, they just didn't become, they didn't lose the means to get cash gifts for my brother and I. So I'm like, okay, this seems odd. This seems strange. I'm confused at this scenario for sure. I don't know why they got so much stuff. And the truth is, I feel bad at getting it. So I'm not even sure what I'm getting them because I'm not even sure how this pile is happening. Because I know that I'm contributing maybe one or two things. My gift buying has got really bad. I find myself full of anxiety. I find myself unable to be like, yeah, this person would want this thing, or think ahead of time and secure that and get that for them. Sometimes I come in clutch with something dope. Like maybe a few years ago, I got everyone, I couldn't be there for Christmas, so I got a picture of us from the previous Christmas made into a jigsaw puzzle. And I was like, I friggin' nailed it. I smashed this out of the park. Not only is it an activity to do during a global lockdown, we're all confined to our homes. I'd taken up jigsawing, jig season, whatever the active verb is. I'd taken up doing a lot of this in the old pandemia, and I thought, wow, I nailed this, because not only can they experience the sheer joy of slotting piece to piece that I have appreciated in these anxiety-ridden months, but before, during, and indeed after, they can enjoy a picture of us as a family unit, widely considered by friends and enemies as one of the best pictures of the four of us. Amazing. And so I gifted this to them. I think it arrived sometime. That's the other thing. You gotta, if you send someone something, you can't wrap it. Especially when it was from a disreputable source. It was just like puzzlesforyou.it, Anyway, it arrived. First success. Amazing. They whipped it out. I was like, oh, and they were like, oh, yeah, cute. I was like, okay, muted response, but I'm sure it'll build up when they actually get round to it. Weeks and weeks passed. Nothing. And then I sent them a photo of a puzzle that I was doing. I suppose puzzling would be the word, but I'm not confused. I was puzzling, the act of puzzling, and I sent them a progress photo, pretty pleased with where I was at, smashed it over them, niente. And then at that moment, I think they're like, oh, our son's trying to give us a hint, so better crack on. And then weeks after that, I got another text being like, oh yeah, this puzzle kind of sucks. Like there's something to do with the pieces, or it was kind of difficult because like we're all wearing block colors, so it was difficult to like put our shirts together. You could find it, and I was just like, you've missed the goddamn point. You missed the goddamn point that this was the best gift that I could send you and cost under a certain amount and could be delivered to your door and hit just that sweet spot of sentimentality that's going to make you forget that I'm not there for Christmas. So that it just failed on all fronts. So really upset about that. And I feel like that was one I thought I'd smashed out the park. It's tough to find that spot where my intentions for present giving match up with the execution. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's not the first time. The one that sticks with me, the one that truly gives me present giving anxiety, is because of the brutal memory of what occurred. Is you may or may not be familiar of a concept, the concept of the product of Airfix. Okay, it's like a pre-made. I'm sure that, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're made now, but it seems very environmentally unsound for a multitude of reasons. You print out, it's like an A4, it's like a letter sized. There you go. Just doing the international conversion for you there. If you're in North America, it's letter sized. If you're in England, and I think the rest of the world, it's A4. It's like a sheet of plastic. Gray, there's a natural state of plastic, which is the least natural thing on earth. And that natural state is gray. And this is that color. So it just comes plastic as the Lord intended it. printed out onto a sheet. And these sheets it's like a bunch of little parts. And they're all joined together with little plastic connectors and stuff to the sheet. And so the first job you've got to do is break these parts off the sheet. And what these parts form all together is some marvel of engineering, right? It's like a train. It's like a truck. It's like a World War II bombing plane, right? And so you take the pieces out, you like punch them out of the sheet, and then I think you have to provide your own. I don't think it's even in the box, but you have to like file down these sharp edges where the plastic was connected to the other plastic, and then you just toss in away these connecting bits. Reason number one, it's not green. It's mass-produced plastic solely for recreational purposes. A single-use recreational purpose, right? Number one. Number two, you take the bits out, and then there's a bunch of other bits that were holding the functional bits in place / together. And so they're all together, and now you've taken them out. And so these bits, disregard. There's no reason for them to exist at all, except for the packaging process, right? So very not green. You punch them all out, and then I guess you kind of follow an instruction manual or some kind of, Lego style. You're like, oh, this into this, that and that. Blah, blah. And it's like a scale model of this thing, right? So you're putting this together, and it kind of starts to look like it, but it's still gray, it's still 100% gray. So in the box, they give you paints to paint it, and this crazy glue, not the North American product, crazy glue. Maybe now that I think about it, is that, but it's this like extremely heavy, extremely solvent glue. It sticks these things right together, and these bits of plastic, because you don't just click them into place. It's not like Lego in that way. So it's quite an arduous process. You've stuck all these together, you've punched them all out, you stick them all together, and this glue is like very not child friendly. So the vapors are getting you addicted to drugs that you don't even understand yet. And then you paint it. You're supposed to paint it. There's maybe some stickers if there's like, it's like a Spitfire, and you have like the Royal Air Force fucking logo or something. You stick that on the wing, and you paint this all over, right? Now the reason I'm telling you all this is to paint a picture of the joyful hours that I spent as a young child. I didn't care for what was being made at the end. I don't really give a fuck about warplanes, right? But the making of it, the punching out and the painting and the gluing, fantastic. Oh, it's so engaging. Again, like Lego, taken to this like next level. And it's definitely what being interested in that is why I do what I do today. There's your sentimental side, right? And I would do it, obviously not on my own accord, but I would do it with my dad. And he would supply like the file, and he would, help me out with the glue so I didn't stick myself to myself. And he would air out the paints and whatever. And that is how, I learned to do those things. And we spent many, many hours together doing them. And then when I gave up and got bored, he'd continue doing them. So one Christmas approaches, and I'm just like, this is going to be a slam dunk. I just suddenly, for some reason, I'm inspired, and I have this memory of doing these Airfix kits, as you call them, with my dad. I'm like, oh shit, we live in a greener world these days. The environmental police must have shut these guys down. They must be made out of goddamn cardboard at this point, because that's the only way. Like, it's so unforgivably not ecologically friendly. So I'm like, there's no way they can exist. onto Amazon. Of course they fucking exist. They're just as good as I remember. They've got these like watercolor images on the front cover of the box. It's so built for, you know, nostalgic elderly men who think about war, through this like rose-tinted spectacles or whatever, and hobbyists, of which my dad is both and continues to be, and now has much more free time because he's retired. So I'm like, oh my days, this is amazing. I've nailed it. So I buy the kit, I send it off, it arrives at home. Again, this is another year that I couldn't be home, maybe. Or maybe it was his birthday and like not Christmas, and maybe I'm coming home for Christmas, and so I don't make it home for his birthday because it's only, whatever. I'm not there. So I send it off. I'm like, this is it. Why even bother thinking about gifts ever again? Because here I am at the tippity top of what it means to get someone a gift. I have completely peaked. And I've peaked for everyone else. So everyone else can shut up. And he took receipt of this Airfix kit. And I never heard anything about it. I think I had maybe heard that he received it. And again, muted response. I'm like, hey, it's fine. You know, we're not an expressive family. It's fine. Muted response, all good. I know, you know, what I'm thinking is it's muted because he's so overwhelmed by emotion, by how good he feels about, you know, all the memories this has brought back. His son, inspired by the joyful times he spent together. He's got into this career inspired by this game that we used to play together. And now that career has given him enough money to buy one of these kits and gift it back. It's the circle turning. Life is complete. The mission as a father and as a son has come to a heartwarming conclusion. That's what I think. He's so overwhelmed by these emotions, and that's why he's never reached out. And then I go home many years later, and I find the box untouched in the back of the shed, covered in dust. It's never been taken out, never been opened, never been used. And I'll never buy another gift ever again, is what I pledged to myself in that moment. So, you know, it's tough to recover from something like that. And I think that's why, you know, it comes up to someone's birthday, Christmas, whatever, and I just get eaten alive by anxiety. Just don't know what to do. Just flail around and make bad guesses, bad assumptions, and ultimately give bad gifts. So it's all good. And I can roundly blame my dad, you know, because, he definitely fucked me up with that ethics situation. I really thought that was going to be the one. So, yeah. But, I mean, I understand. It's difficult to buy things for people. And the problem is that if you give someone a hint, I have my own issues with that. If I give someone a hint, you know, they try to take a mile, and I feel like there's a whole horrible feedback loop of like, well, you know, if you knew me, then you'd know what to get me, and I wouldn't have to be telling you, but you know, if I don't tell you, then you're gonna get me something crappy, and then you're gonna waste money, and I have to pull this, so on. But I think you can definitely go the other way and be way too specific. Like my mum, keeping it in the family today, obviously. My mum got one of those Pandora bracelets. They've definitely had their moment in the sun. I feel like everybody had one, or at least I was seeing adverts that everybody had one at some point. But you know, she likes her jewelry. She likes to wear and buy and put on display her jewelry. So Pandora makes sense. It's like all in this family. You can buy one, you can buy many. It's like charm bracelets, but it's like got a bit more class, whatever. And so she got one of these, and for the next however many events, everybody she knew got her a charm for this Pandora bracelet, to the point where she was like switching them out. Had so many of them. You know, they don't fill up quickly, and she filled hers up within a couple of birthdays or whatever. And then she was like, seeing that this problem had become completely ridiculous, she's like, okay, no more charms, please. And then I can't remember who it was, because I don't think it was herself. Someone got another bracelet. So now she's got 2 whole ass bracelets to fill up. And not only can she house the spill from the first bracelet, but also now she's like, oh, got a bit of room. So there's still a bit of road. And I think everybody appreciated, you know, oh, what the hell are we going to get her? Oh, another Pandora problem goddamn solved. So people appreciate having that kind of leg up. But I think the takeaway is that everyone else felt chill and relaxed and felt like they were doing a good thing by filling up this bracelet. But she hated it, because now she's like managing the bracelet. She's got to wear the right charms for when she comes around to see you, because there's like 15 things on here, and what, yours didn't make it onto the cut for today. How are you going to feel about that? At least what she's telling herself. So she's now managing people's expectations of what they want to see on a bracelet that she doesn't even like wearing anymore, because they're all different styles, they're all different vibes, they're all whatever. So now she's lugging around this bracelet that doesn't even make sense, she doesn't like, just to please people. And I think that ultimately she wore it filled to the rafters so that she could see people and be like, oh, you know, people are so generous that I just don't have any more space. So never fucking get me one of these ever again. And so it went from this collaborative, gift-giving fucking experience to where it ended up, which was like dragging the bodies of these slain Christmases past around for everybody to see, to be like, no more, we can take no more, okay, there's just no further. So obviously just completely out of whack in that regard. But again, it like takes the pressure off people, because they don't want to think about the gift, even for someone they care about, especially for someone they care about. You know, that's the feeling I'm feeling. And now I recognize that everyone else is feeling that they don't want to think about it, because it ultimately it's stress, it's pressure, it's like, you know, all of these emotions and all of this necessity. And it's just because of a fucking date on the fucking calendar. Like, you know, whatever. There's so much, like it's you start a new year and there it is. The date is in the, you know, December 25th. You know when that is. You know when that person's birthday is. So should you start thinking now because you know what it is? Or like, that's crazy though, because then you're thinking about someone's birthday for the whole year. That's just so much. But then you should, you know, maybe you should, because you care about that person, but you don't. You're not showing that you care about that person. And the Pandora incident illustrates that. You're not showing that you care about that person necessarily. What you care about is not fucking it up. And that's what I feel. Don't fuck up the gift. Because even if they hate the thing that you got them, if you can prove in a court of law that you thought about it, and it's the thought that fucking counts, then that's what matters. So you got to fuck it up in this really specific way, which is that you were thoughtless. Because it is, again, the thought that counts. Everybody is thinking, oh, I'm going to fucking prove that I know this woman the most. I know that she's got this Pandora. So I'm going to drip that Pandora out so goddamn hard. I'm going to go, there's different tiers of these charms, bro. And I'm going to go not bottom tier, not penultimate tier, but one above that, bro. And that's not even near the middle, but that's where I'm going to go because I care enough and I know that she's got that bracelet. So I'm showing prior knowledge of this person. I'm not taking a risk and a punt on a new thing. I'm displaying my prior knowledge of this individual. And I'm saying, continue. I'm saying, I see you as you are. I see what your life is about. And I'm going to let you continue in that way. And my mum has to go, thank you. I'm seen. I feel seen. Because you can't be a dick about getting a present. So everybody's in this feedback loop until, again, she hates this Pandora. Because it's the only thing that anybody remembers is that she's got the Pandora bracelet. So everybody's getting her the Pandora bracelet. And it's like when you're a kid, the same shit. It's like if you ever let on to anybody that you like a thing, you're getting that forever. Just forever. I'm surprised I'm not still getting Spider-Man stuff now. I mean, Spider-Man stuff is dope. So that's a terrible example because Spider-Man stuff is dope and it has stood the test of time. But if you tell someone that you like owls, if you draw a picture of an owl once as a kid, you're always going to be the owl kid. You're going to get owl gifts for the rest of your life. You're going to get the owl t-shirt. You're going to get the owl plushie. You're going to fucking hoot yourself silly with all that owl memorabilia you got. Because everyone wants to say with their gift, I know you, I see you, I remember this aspect of your personality. But the fucking irony is, of course, that they have so focused on maintaining that memory that they have of you that they disregard whatever you are in the present. And they cannot recognize that maybe you don't vibe with owls anymore. Maybe you got so many friggin' owls for each birthday that now you're developing a weird phobia of owls. Maybe what you liked was a simple creature that you could draw as a kid with two big ass eyes that made a distinctive sound that you could draw a speech bubble about. But now that you know what owls are about, with the heads twisting all the way around, they actually kind of freak you out. But your aunt is never gonna take the time to be like, oh, owl phobia? I guess I'll ease up on the gas there, owl-wise. Tawny-wise, When it comes to the snowies, I'll do you one less next year. Maybe you just move on to some of the other birds. Nah, that's not how it works. And for me, do you know what? It wasn't even presents. For me, it was I let on, or maybe it was just this information was spread among the family unit. I got family in England. I got family in Northern Ireland as well. And so we only get to see them every so often. And so again, they really fall into this trap of, oh, you fuck with owls, bro? Guess what you're getting next time you come here? We're going to the Owl Emporium. Now, I've obviously used owls as an example. Don't know where that came from. Got nothing to do with owls. Nothing against them. Nothing to do with them. I let slip, or they found out, or my mum shared with them, that I was a singer in a band. Played music my whole life. Love singing. Always been into singing. I was into singing before I was into a band. I did choir and shit like this. Always sung. We can discuss that another time. But this got to them, and they had some kind of karaoke situation in Northern Ireland. I want to say maybe there was a PlayStation karaoke thing, like a PS2 kind of. It was a microphone set for sure. And they would just be like, Tom, you love this, right? You love this shit, right? You die, you live, you sleep, and you wake thinking about being in front of a mic, right? I recognize the irony in front of a mic right now. Try to suspend your disbelief. They 100% laser focused on this. Every time there was an opportunity for people to sing, they would try to make me sing. And they would be like, this is your natural state, right? You love this and you want to do this, right? There's singing to be done. It's Tom who's doing it. And so this karaoke set stood the test of time. And every friggin' time we would visit them, they'd be like, oh, we haven't played that karaoke set in years. Let's whip it out. Tom, you want to go, right? You want to fucking go, right, son? And at that point, I was a much better singer, so it's all good. But if you don't nail it, bro, drastic. Which makes me think of a very specific time when, again, when I was at university, I was really into the band shit. I had several bands and I was touring and I was recording and I was practicing and playing. It was a very musical time and it was awesome. And I remember we had this like faculty situation. I was slightly involved in this like longer term project at the school. And there was kind of a celebration at the end of this project. It was like a get together. Let's have a bit of a night of it. And it was maybe the worst party of all time because it was like hosted just off the campus in somebody's kind of like farmhouse. I still am not sure how or why. But obviously it was a bunch of students, some faculty, and this guy who I always thought was on like the academic team, and it turned out this whole time he was a farmer. So here we were in his farmhouse. We were in this giant ass barn, and he was like, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. I've made sure tonight's gonna absolutely slippity slap, and I've got the best music system ever." And we're like, "Okay, cool." Inevitably, of course, it was just like 10, 15 students huddled together in the corner of a achingly large barn, not knowing what the heck to do, and him being a shockingly poor DJ, just smashing out, incongruous tunes one after the other. But the pièce de résistance in his mind was that this sound system couldn't just play music, but also it had a microphone input. So you friggin' bet there was karaoke on the offering. And you friggin' bet this guy was called up to wow the crowds with his musical talent. Now, it didn't matter, of course, that most people there already knew that I was in bands, and a lot of the people that I was friends with had already seen me play on stage. This guy made it pretty clear that he'd set up the karaoke for me and that I was to perform. So I stepped up and I was like, "What do you got?" Terrible selection. I went for the first thing I saw that I recognized, Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. I was like, at least there's a bit of a sing-along. I immediately recognized that nobody in the room knew what song this was. And I immediately recognized that I was shuffling my feet through hay in a massive goddamn barn with a bunch of cold students having the worst party of their life, not wanting to engage. The faculty, desperate for me to save this function, but also not understanding where this song came from. And I mumbled my way through Brown Eyed Girl, and I just wanted to expire for the entire time. It was one of the most crushing performances of my life. I've been in many terrible shows. I've played many terrible shows to many terrible audiences, but this was something special in how terrible it was. How truly awful. How the sound just slapped off the walls. And just somehow, as I got louder, everything else got quieter and more awkward. Nobody really wanted to engage. And I didn't want them to either. And all because they were certain that I loved karaoke. The point of these incredibly depressing stories being that people don't want to know who you are. They want to prove that they know who you are. They have no interest in actually finding out what that is in this moment, finding out what makes you happy, finding out whether you fucking like owls or not. They want to show that they listened once in the past and prove it over and over again because they're hoping for some kind of return, some kind of emotional return on understanding that thing that they understood a long time ago and how it applies in their mind to your life going forward forever. They don't want to divert their energy into actually understanding who you are now and facilitating that. They want to impress that upon you that they knew you that one time, and they can always get you back to that moment of childhood joy. And I think that's what's fucking upsetting is realizing that that also applies to me. That I thought that my dad would fucking vibe that Airfix kit. But that's me saying, Dad, wear your fucking owl t-shirt or I'll know that you hate me. Because I remembered from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that you like owls. So you'll wear it and you'll be happy. And you'll be happy when I get you the matching socks next year. That's what I was saying to my dad when I got him that Airfix kit. And that's why I don't deserve to be upset that he never goddamn opened it. And that's what that goddamn, not a student, not a teacher, farmer was saying to me when he rammed a microphone into my hand and made me sing Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl to no response, no feedback, certainly no applause, in a cold November evening in the middle of fucking Nottingham, middle of nowhere. That's what he was saying to me. I know you, and you better fucking like it. And that's what I think the problem is.